Alrighty. Hello and welcome. Thank you for coming in here and joining me for this interview. I'd like to introduce you to everybody. This is Laura D'Antoni. She is not only a film editor, a writer, she's also a producer, and she founded her own company called Leprica Productions. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to do this.
Alrighty. So, for starters, I'd like to start off on how you got started. How did everything begin as far as you wanting to get into the entertainment industry?
Well, actually, it started when I was about 9 or 10. I had my father's old like high 8 camera, and I would make silly movies in the backyard with my friends. And I just kind of fell in love with that. First, I thought, oh, I want to be an actress. But then I'm like, wait, you know what's cooler is creating your own world. And so I decided, that I was going to be a director when I was 10. And so then because I grew up in Germany, so once I moved to the States, I I just decided, I mean, I'll just continue pursuing this. I'll just continue pursuing this as a career. And once I finished community college, I applied to all kinds of film programs. And actually, before that, ended up going to doing the New York Film Academy course in Florence, in Italy, in Florence. And so that kind of made me realize, like, wow, this is so interesting, because we were shooting short films on 16 millimeter. And I thought, I'd say I was pretty good at it. My short films turned out, and the people liked them and told me that I had talent. And I'm, 18 years old going, I think I can do this. So then I applied to all kinds of film programs, got into NYU, and I thought, well, I mean, this is one of the best film programs on the East Coast. I got to do it. So whatever, took out the loan and and got my film degree at NYU, and that was that.
Awesome. And when you first actually started this whole, career path, what were your first steps? Like, did you start off right away wanting to, start production and making films, or did you start off thinking more, oh, I remember you said you wanted to be an actress in the beginning, but did you actually pursue that, or like try to, film, record yourself in your own uh, productions, or did you decide to automatically scrap that, and like what steps you decided to take?
Oh, I scrapped trying to be an actress pretty much immediately. I was just like, I don't like being in front of the camera. I like being behind the camera. Once the camera's on me, then I'm just like, oh my god, I don't know what to say. I took some acting classes. You should take acting classes anyway if you want to be a director, because you need to know how to communicate with an actor. So I ended up taking some acting classes just to kind of learn the craft. But yeah, acting has never been what I wanted to do. It's always been directing, and writing, directing, and everything that's involved with it. However, once I graduated from NYU, of course, everyone who graduates from NYU that studied writing and directing is like, I'm going to be a director. And it's like, no, 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 no. That's not the real world. It doesn't work like that. You can't just graduate NYU at 21 and be a director. It's like, no, you're going to be a PA, work your way up, whatever it takes. So I ended up buying my own camera, and then just kind of working as a videographer in the city. And then I got into documentaries, and I was an associate producer on a documentary for a while, until I moved back to Florida. And then that's another story.
And then, so afterwards, you started your own production company called the Preca, correct?
Started it back in 2007 when I was doing my narrative, my thesis film, basically, at NYU. And it was just one of those. I was trying to raise money for it, and people were telling me, start a company, and that way you can kind of collect money through the company. And then I continued with it, and then turned it more into a real production company where I had clients, and I would make little commercials and stuff for local places.
Awesome. And then, because you recently moved to California, correct?
I moved to LA 5 years ago now.
Oh,
Over five.
wow, 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, so what made you decide to move the company from, Florida over to?
I always wanted to live closer to where film really is. And I just didn't find that there was much of a film community in Florida. I wasn't finding my people. And a lot of my NYU friends had moved to LA. And then I had just finished a feature documentary for a company I was working for in Florida, and we were in festivals and it was going well. And then this whole legal thing started, so it stopped distribution, and the film was basically shelved, and that was the end of it. And I was so just heartbroken over that, and I was just like, that's it, I'm out. I'm going to LA. I'm going to see if I can pursue my dream of really directing narrative films. I was in documentary commercials for such a long time that I was like sucked into that world, and it's like, wait a minute, this isn't actually what I wanted to do. As much as I love it, I want to try to do the narrative thing again. So then it was kind of a quick decision, and I just got up and moved.
About talking about producing your film Cycle.
Well, so the story is really about a little girl observing her mother going through domestic abuse. And the idea is that the mother is in a vicious cycle that she can't get out of. So it's like, she gets hurt by her husband, and then she forgives him, and then it happens again. And it's just like this cycle. And so I thought, well, a cycle is round, and no matter how you play it in reverse or forward, the same thing keeps happening. And so I decided, because it's a very simple story, it's not like there's this huge plot and all kinds of things. It's just a girl really observing her mother, and it's all about her point of view, and what does it make her feel. How does she feel when she sees her mother upset, and how does she feel when she sees her mother back with her father again after what she's just been through. And it's more like an internal look on what the girl is feeling. And so I just decided, how can I make this film a little more, put some pizzazz into it, instead of just watching this girl all glum. So I thought, well, if we make it backwards, it has a meaning. Hey, it's a cycle, is the name of the film. Play it forwards or backwards. But also, it just makes it more interesting. It makes you have to think a little bit. You're like, wait, what happened? Oh, okay, so that's the result of that, and then that happened. So that's how that kind of came together.
One of my next big questions was honestly how everything has been during this troubling time through the pandemic. I mean, it must be hard not being able to see people, not being able to go out and really film. I mean, how have you had to adapt to these difficult situations?
Well, I escaped. When this all hit, when the pandemic started in March, I put my dog in the car and I drove to Florida. Because my mother work stopped completely. All of production stopped. Everything stopped. So I just realized, like, wow. And I live alone here in LA in a little place. And I'm kind of going, I don't know what's going to happen. It kind of sounds like this is going to be a little bit more long term. This isn't some 2-week thing. And so my parents were like, get in the car now and get back here before they like shut the borders or something. Who knows? We didn't know it was going to happen. So I drove to Florida, and then I ended up spending 5 months there. And there was no work. So occasionally I got like a little bit of an editing gig here and there. But certainly there was no filming going on. And so then, I was applying for more jobs and just trying to see what was open and what was going on. And so finally I ended up getting a gig on this Food Network show. So that's the reason that I ended up driving back.
What are you currently working on right now?
Well, the Food Network show is keeping me, that's a full-time job. So that's what I'm doing. And then also I have several clients still that I'd been working for before all this stuff started. And so they're coming back to me going, hey, I need this edited. Do you have time for this? Shoot that. And so I'm actually having to do that nights and weekends. So I'm juggling a lot of things right now.
And then one of my final question at this point is, when it came to actually dealing with becoming a filmmaker and director and all these things, obviously you've had a lot of experience, you've been through it, you've done your own share, you've paid your dues basically to get to where you are today. What advice do you have for aspiring filmmakers, aspiring, directors, or anyone, male, female, anyone who's trying to basically take the same career path that you're following?
So it's really tough. So I would say my advice is latch onto something big when you're young. Get into that big company, do the internship, and stick around, stick it out, do the dirty work, do the not the dirty work, do the shitty work of being the intern, take the trash out, whatever it is, be the assistant to the assistant's assistant, whatever it is, and then eventually you'll get up there because they'll see if you do a good job. Oh, okay, she's got potential, he's got potential. Give him this job, see how he does. I think that's really the way in.
Well, thank you so much for being here and letting me conduct this interview. You were amazing. It was a pleasure. And now that we're at the end of this, do you have anything you wish to say? Anything you want to let the people know you're working on? Just, whatever you want to pitch in.
Go watch my web series Deadish and tell me what you think. I'm trying to expand it, so if anybody has any comments or questions, I'm trying to make it a real show. And I'd like to just know if people would even want to see this as a real show, because this was super low budget and we're trying to make this kind of a bigger thing. And yeah, if there's any big time producers watching, call me up. I've got a great idea. So yeah.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much again, and stay safe, especially during these hard times. And look forward to speaking to you again soon.